So today I'm going to talk about perfect pitch versus relative pitch. I've already done a video on perfect pitch and why I don't think it's what you want, even though you can get it if you weren't born with it. And I'm going to talk about why relative pitch is far more important. Stick around, because even if you're not a musician, it will help you to get relative pitch. So first of all, for those of you who aren't quite sure what the difference is, perfect pitch is simply the ability to name a pitch that you hear. So if someone plays an A flat, you can name that. And you can go the other way too. If someone says, sing a C sharp, you can sing it as well. Most people think they're born with it, but as I said in the other video, you can actually train it. I trained myself to have perfect pitch. Some people say you can't train it, you had it, you just improved upon it, whatever. The point is here that I think it's not much more than a party trick, although one of my viewers did point out, as a choir director, it's a great thing to have. So I'll give you that. Now, relative pitch is different. If I give you a certain pitch, you can name or sing a pitch above it by a certain interval. For example, if I gave you a D and said, sing a major third or play a major third above it, you could do that by ear. Relative pitch is definitely trainable. And I think it's very telling that conservatories do not train perfect pitch, at least none that I know of. But every single music student has to train relative pitch. Well, I often explain it like this. Imagine a triangle, and at the top of the triangle there is seeing, and the lower right-hand corner there's hearing, and the lower left-hand corner there's performing or playing. We want to be able to go from any point of that triangle to another point. Classical musicians typically are good at seeing the notes, then playing them, and then hearing them. But we want to also be able to see the notes and hear them in our heads before we ever play them. And conversely, a lot of jazz musicians are very good at hearing music and playing it back. What we want to be able to do is go any direction on that triangle. So if you see music, you can hear it or play it right away. If someone plays music, you could write it down or hear it. Another advantage to relative pitch, to those of us who play instruments like the cello or violin, where you can have infinite gradations of intonation, is it strengthens your sense of intonation. So if you had perfect pitch and you're very used to an A being set at A440, that means 440 vibrations per second, but you're playing with a pianist or an orchestra that happens to be tuning higher or lower, that might actually bother you. I can tell you in my case, it does bother me. But if you train strong relative pitch, you can make those adjustments immediately, and you have to. In a broader sense, relative pitch helps train your ear to appreciate harmonies, dissonances, and just the basic building blocks of music. So you can see why it's absolutely essential for a professional musician, but I hope you can also see why it might be good for just plain old music lovers. Music lovers are very important to me and should be to all musicians, because they're the ones who come to our concerts. And if you have some training in relative pitch, you'll appreciate the concerts even more, because you'll hear those spicy harmonies or those interesting dissonances, and you'll hear when they resolve, and that helps create the emotional or artistic backdrop of what the composer is trying to say. Now, as I said, you can definitely train relative pitch, and it's not too hard to get a basic grasp of it. If you're taking private lessons, your teacher will probably be able to train you in some basics of relative pitch, or you could take a local course at your college, or even some community music schools. But even with just one semester of it, you'll see a drastic improvement in your perception of music. So if you'll pardon the intentional pun, relative pitch is far more important than perfect pitch. And if you're a musician, you train hard to get very conversant with it. If you're not a musician, but a music lover, I suggest you dabble in it a little bit and see what you think. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. It helps with the algorithm. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.